What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Movement is Medicine show. It's your host, Barry Napier, and we are rocking out today with Dr. Ashley. What is up?
What's going on? It's been a minute.
Exactly, and that kind of is what we want to talk about today, right? Kind of some key insights, top 3 tips into really kind of looking at your life and looking at the lifestyle you have and understanding the big levers that you have to really feel your best, look your best, stay pain-free, and really get the most out of life.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier than people think. You know, a lot of people think like super big picture, but really if you just do a few basic, like simple things, a lot can change. And there are 3 things that I specifically have been telling my patients, at least in recent months. People want to be a little bit healthier. People want to be pain-free. It's summertime. People want to move around, but a lot of the times they can't. And instead of thinking big, let's think small. One of the first things that I've asked people is, are you staying hydrated?
Hydration, absolutely the key to the whole puzzle, right? I mean, and it's one of those things that everybody, it's like, yeah, I know that, but don't overcomplicate it.
No, no, absolutely not. And like the human body is 60% water anyway.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you're intaking the right amounts, right? And making sure you're essentially hydrated pretty much will determine how the internal processes in your body works, right? Being hydrated is involved in digestion, absorption,
brain function.
Exactly. Body temperature regulation. You're sweating half the time this time of year.
If you have a weight loss goal or an exercise activity goal.
Exactly. So you want to make sure you're intaking. A lot of people have a hard time doing that. And there are many different ways that you can continue to stay hydrated without actually having to drink 8, 9, 10 glasses of water. There are aids out there, but people have to remember that they're aids, not replacements. So if anything, you want to make sure you're intaking a lot of electrolytes on top of regular water, and just digest and ingest food that have a lot of water content, fruits and veggies mainly.
Even to make some of those cool, one of those water pitchers that you put in your fridge, and you can throw some like cucumbers or limes or lemons or kiwis, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
There's so many, I almost picked one up on Prime Day, which just happened recently because I was thinking about this. But you can go crazy on Prime Day, so I had to reel it in a little bit, because you don't want to go just lose your mind on Prime Day. But yeah, no, that's a great. I think we've talked a lot of episodes about eating your water, right? Like hydration, other ways to take it and make it a high quality hydration.
We can go down the rabbit hole with that.
Honestly. Yeah, you absolutely can. But I think that's a great way to do it. And then also like Noom tablets. Those Noom tablets are awesome.
Liquid IV. There's so many things out there. Body Armor. I'd stay away from the sugary ones. Say with things that
Gatorade, stuff like that.
Yeah, stay away from that.
You get a lot of unneeded sugar.
Anything that tastes really good is probably not that good for you, right? You want to keep it simple. You want to keep it, a little bit more bland. That way you're intaking more water than anything else.
In my other top tip on that, my other like little life hack on hydration, that was a big game changer for me, is recognizing, because you'd mentioned, if you're trying to drink 8, 9, 10, 12 glasses, being the key word there of water a day, it's not going to happen.
No way.
But if you have a container that's larger, so, if you were here in the studio with us, you'd see you're rocking like a Hydro Flask, thermoflask type deal, 32 ouncer. And that's great, right? Because, you drink 4 or 5 of those a day, you're going to be golden. I'm a big fan of the Stanley, the 40 ouncer, the big Stan, I like to call it.
Yeah.
That's my go-to. Again, you drink 3 of those a day, you're hitting that gallon mark, if that's how much water you're looking to get. But having a dedicated insulated vessel like that, ideally in my mind with a straw.
I'm a huge fan of the straw.
Me too.
I don't know why. I just drink much more when I have a straw.
Way more.
It's easier. It's
so
just there.
much easier.
It's just there. You don't have to move it. Just like move your face to it and like
exactly.
Sip
I've
a few
replaced
times.
I have like a dedicated Stanley on my bedside that it's like if I wake up at night, I just like roll my head over and I put a little straw into my mouth. It's right there.
It's super easy. And like, the thing is too that a lot of people don't realize is that what you intake today is actually hydrating you for the next day. You know what I mean? It's going to determine how you feel tomorrow morning. Same as, this is a non-parallel comparison, but if you were to intake any kind of alcoholic beverage today, it's going to determine how you feel tomorrow. Right? Which is usually not so good. But
yeah,
if you balance it out,
if your water intake goes down.
Exactly. So you want to keep that good balance.
All right. So number one, we're going hydration.
We're going hydration.
Couple quick little tips there. Get a dedicated thing, ideally with a straw. Look to upgrade it. Maybe some upgraded stuff like some add-ins, like
use some aids, but they're not replacements.
Exactly.
Yeah. Pair it with the habit. Drink, before you have your coffee in the morning, have a glass of water, something like that. Just create the space to be able to intake more water, and it's super easy. It's super easy. Tip number one.
I think, and one more on that, like I love it because I just want to like that habit thing you just mentioned, like where whenever you're looking to increase or improve or optimize something that you should be doing more of or less of whatever, you just nailed it. Like you got to look at what am I already doing that I could attach this to, and like another great one is if you're already in the habit of exercising and you like exercise, that's a great time in between every lift, or like, taking those breaks. And I find that during an exercise session, whether that's on the treadmill or like a lift session, I could drink like a whole 40-ounce thing of water because every time I'm done with the lift, I'll go over and have some water. Every time I'm done with the lift, go over and have some water. And you can drink a lot of water that way.
Exactly. Same with me. Every time I see a patient or after I see a patient, I go and drink some water. Same thing. I mean, our heart rates are up in these two situations, but even when you're at the desk, every time you answer an email or when you get off a meeting, have some water. Super easy.
I love it. Tip number two.
We kind of hit it when we talked about eating our water, but it's essentially eating better foods, eating real foods. Specifically, I want to touch on like oils. The oils that we use, a lot of people just don't think about it when, one, you're cooking, or two, you're buying food. And I think this is a really easy way to get a lot of healthy fats in you, and also an easy way to get non-healthy fats in you. So the canola oils and the veggie oils, I mean, you want to stay away from those as much as you can, and maybe replace those with healthier versions of those of oils: coconut, avocado, olive oil.
Cold pressed.
Exactly. I like to use olive oils for any kind of salad dressings, things like that. And then ghee is another one. Any kind of grass-fed butter, huge fan.
Me too. Love it. It has a really great flavor.
Yeah, it's a super easy way to like make your food healthy, especially if you're cooking. And also just a bad way to intake those terrible fats if you're going out and getting those types of food.
I agree. That's a great one. You don't think about it, but fat.
Yeah, it's one that you don't think about.
You don't, and it's nutrient dense, right? So like a little goes a long way.
Yep.
And generally speaking, most of us, unless you're like really have your nutrition dialed in and you're following like a nutrient macro profile type eating thing, generally speaking, what happens is you eat more fat and carbs than typically your body needs, right? So especially if you're in a spot where you feel like, oh yeah, I mean, I have a little extra weight to lose or a lot of extra weight to lose. Yeah, it means you're in an energy surplus, and that's not coming typically from, you're not overeating protein. What happens is, oils, fats, and carbs, typically processed, super processed, right? Those things can add up quick. And the oils, man, they add up so fast.
And it's, I mean, contrary to popular belief, fat is not necessarily bad for you.
No, it's not bad.
It's not.
Too much or the wrong kind.
Exactly, is bad. But you want to just intake the right ones. And that's an easy way to do it right there. Another thing that I wanted to touch on is like those processed foods or those packaged foods that we eat, especially the ones that say low fat. A lot of the times when they take fat out of certain foods, they need to add something else to give it flavor. And oftentimes it's sugar. So you think it's healthy for you, but it's really not. Same thing with like a diet soda, that sort of thing. No sugar, but a ton of chemicals in there that'll really mess with all the reactions and the processes in your body. So it sounds healthy on the outset, but in the end game, it's really not. So things to think about there that most people just don't. They're like, oh, that's diet, or oh, that's low fat, must be good for me. I'm going to eat all of those things.
Absolutely. You look at let's take Pop-Tarts.
Let's take
low fat.
Anything can be low fat.
But they're like, those are like packing like 50, 60 grams of carbs, and that's all primarily, it's like a lot of it's like 25, 30 grams of sugar or something, So, stuff like that is a good call out. on the oil, just the life hack on the oil.
Oh,
I find at Costco, you can find other places, but they have a non-aerosol based spray avocado oil 2-pack.
Okay, yeah,
like
I think
$8.
I've seen those.
That thing is, man, that thing is golden.
Is it?
Yeah, it's just a little tap of that could have, plenty of oil for cooking your veggies, for coating, if you want to like hit your meat before you grill your meat or something, to put a little seasoning on it. You can use it for spray on salads. I mean, I tend to go with you. I tend to use a little olive oil if I'm going to make a salad. But, man, that is a incredible way from a cooking standpoint and a food prep standpoint, a non-aerosol based spray oil, because they have like the garbage canola oil version with aerosol. I'd stay away from it, destroying your body, destroying the air, like the ozone.
Seriously, stay away from it.
But upgrade, get a non-aerosol base, right? So it's not like it's not releasing like the crazy killer gases into the ozone and speeding up the impending global climate crisis that is clearly
another rabbit
unavoidable.
hole topic.
Yeah, another topic. Yeah, but that's a good one, and I think then that can set you up. I mean, so it's like, again, to your point, just find simple ways to make these life adjustments easy.
And like anybody who's listening, you're probably sitting there like, well, I have like no time. Like there's no time for me to like eat healthy, or I have no money to spend on doing this. But it's super easy. It really is. Like maybe instead of going out and getting these foods and buying them, spend 1 day a week at making at least one more homemade meal. Just one. You can start there. It doesn't have to be a meal. Make a smoothie.
I think that's a great call out.
Make it easy.
A lot of times we think about taking things away. I'm going to take away this. I'm going to take away sugar. I'm going to take away white bread. I'm going to take away whatever. Yeah. And that's understandable. And that's an approach. Another approach, which you just highlighted, is that I'm going to add it in. I'm going to add in a daily smoothie. Yeah. 1 day a week to get started, or 2 days a week, whatever. And I'm going to just see how that feels. And then I'm going to build on that positive momentum by adding in other positive behaviors that naturally replace the things that maybe you want to get rid of, but you're not feeling like you're denying yourself. And instead you're like empowering yourself. It just is it's a little tweak, but it feels better.
You're just creating space, essentially. Yeah, we're not taking anything away. We're just creating space. Something easy is just switching your oils out. If you're using a canola or veggie oil, find a different one. Use the avocado spray. Easy. Boom. Fix.
Simple. And it's a total upgrade. And that small upgrade over time, because the other objection might be like, that doesn't seem like enough. Like I need to do like a total overhaul. And that type of all or nothing thinking often sabotages our success.
Totally. I completely agree. It's these small little steps you take is going to keep you wanting to go for more instead of taking in too much at one time and then feeling overwhelmed with it.
Quitting.
Yeah. You just got to be patient with it. You were in your mom's belly for 9 months. You can't expect weight loss or any kind of habit changes to happen in 2 days.
I mean, I think it's a design flaw, but I wasn't on the design team. But yeah, it does take time. It just does take some time. But like when you're on that consistent process and you're starting to see some positive results, both maybe on if you have a body composition goal on the scale, or maybe you just have a feeling like you feel better, like you feel more energized, more mental clarity, alertness, awareness. You're feeling like also like, man, I'm taking care of myself. I'm doing something positive for myself because I'm worth it. All of that has a really positive, just mental health aspect to it as well.
100%. And like those two things alone, eating better foods and hydrating, creates more room for you to move better, right? So
massive shift.
Yeah, massive shift. And from like, for all intents and purposes, in our profession, I'm biased, but those two things for sure, like if people just ate better and drank more water, I'm telling you, your body would feel 90% better than what it does normally if you're not doing those things. And that's just because it's natural things that your body needs. You're made of water, number one. And number two, if you're eating real foods, all the processes in your body are just going to move along really nicely. There's not going to be any holdups. You reduce your amount of inflammation, less antioxidants, less stress, and you're just left feeling a ton better. So if you do end up switching the lifestyle choices to hydrating and eating better foods, moving is going to be a lot easier. And that's like my third tip right there is just getting out and moving. And when I wrote this down thinking about the podcast, I literally just wrote down going to walk. That's it. It doesn't have to be anything big. You don't need to join a gym. You don't need to, figure out a weight loss plan or get on a big diet plan or anything like that. Just go move your body. Movement is movement at the end of the day, whether it's a walk walking your dog with or without one, going to the park, just moving, getting your heart rate pumping, and just finding that time and carving that time for yourself, to just move.
It is, and it could be as simple as
we're meant to move.
You're going to do something in the neighborhood,
Yep.
and like, so for instance, yeah, if you have a dog, that's a great excuse to get out. We walk the dog 1 to 2 times a day. That's 3,000 steps a hit. That's we do that twice in a day, in the morning, in the afternoon, or early evening.
Yep.
It's easy to hit that 10K a day step goal that I have, which is a great goal, but you don't, like, to your point, you don't even need to start there. I mean, any kind of walk is a start. And the other thing is awesome, I would throw out, is that, you have a lot of beautiful areas to go walk, so you can kind of combo like a walk with a little bit of nature bathing type action.
Exactly.
Here in the Northwest. And I'm not talking about driving out into the woods to go on a hike, which is amazing, by the way, and you should totally do. But I'm talking about going down like Edmonds waterfront and walking that waterfront. The Edmonds, going to the Edmonds Beach Park.
There's a ton of trails around here.
There's so many trails. Oh, man. Once you just do a little bit of tiny digging, regardless where you are, there's somewhere gorgeous that's like less than a 10-minute drive.
Yeah.
That you can go walk then. And sometimes that's more motivating.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't really want to walk in my neighborhood. It's not that great. Or maybe it's, it feels like there's traffic or whatever the thing is. That's cool. Well, just get in 3-minute, 5-minute drive, and you can find yourself looking at some beautiful mountains, the ocean, getting those positive ions.
It's it's great for your mental space too. I can't tell you how many like cool people I've met just like walking on the trail. Somebody has a cool dog or somebody has a cool bike. You just stop and interact with people. For a lot of you folks that are at home, just behind the computer all day, just complaining that I don't get out. It's an easy way to do it, and just, creating the space for that. And with these three things, if you find that you're spending more time in one of those and not in the other, it's a great thing. Those are great things to just focus on. It's like, oh, I'm hydrating enough, but I'm not eating enough good food and I'm not moving more. So, okay, I'm going to make the switch to, all right, eating a little bit healthier today, going on another walk today, or whatever it is, just creating that space for yourself.
A fun way to handle it is to gamify the whole thing. Great place to start would be like, I'm going to shoot, it's pulling out the old calendar and saying, I'm going to try to get 3 check marks a day for 30 days. And that's food, water, and movement. And see if you can just every day check those 3 boxes off. And even in most likely you're going to have some gaps, right? But that's cool too, because then it like shows you like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I'm doing really good with my water and my movement, but my food, when I get to the weekends, I'm not getting that check mark, and it's like every weekend I'm having issues. It's like, okay, cool. Now I know I can upgrade that. How can I approach that? But
exactly.
Gamifying a little bit and doing a little bit of tracking, measuring, not in like a pressury way, but in a fun way. That can also be cool. There's all kinds of apps you can get that can gamify stuff, habit apps and stuff, but it can be as simple as a paper calendar you print out that you put on the fridge, and you give yourself, check marks or X's on it for the days that you nail it.
And you made a good point. Like, we're not perfect people. I think a lot of our patients come in here thinking that we're just gods and goddesses of health. And I can only speak for myself, and I'll be the first to tell you that I cheat all the time. It happens. You live your life. I'll go have that cone of ice cream. I'll go eat it. Have that dessert. I'll take a break on working out for the day. And a lot of these choices that I make is just for my mental sanity. I find that if I just dive in too much too soon and I stay on that same track, I burn out really fast. I'm the type that needs to switch it up all the time. So you don't need to follow this to a T. You just want to make sure that you're getting a healthy balance of all of them.
I agree. Yeah, I lived like a hardcore like paleo warrior lifestyle for like 4 or 5 years, like CrossFitting like 5 days a week. Just only would eat ultra clean.
Yeah.
Would like smack bread out of people's hands and stuff. I mean, I was hardcore, like just preaching,
counting the macros, doing the whole thing.
Obsessive. And I'll tell you, was I shredded? Of course I was, because I was a psychopath. But like, was I joyous? Was I helpful? Was I fluid, flexible? Was I getting the most of my life? I don't know. You could argue that I went too far, right? And so, and my body actually responded negatively over time because it was so extreme. No recovery, no downtime, right? Way too. It's like I had like this, whoa, my body's like not recovering now. It's like I'm having all these like weird like hormonal dysfunction issues and stuff. And it was like, go get my blood work done. Too hardcore. Wasn't good. Yeah. So over time, I've had to find, just like you're talking about, a balanced approach, approach that like recognizes the season of life you're in. What season of life am I in right now? Am I going hardcore? Am I pushing towards some really aggressive goals, or am I more of a relaxed enjoyment season of my life? And how can you then also boil it down, just like you're talking about, to make it very easy and attainable, and recognize you don't have to do everything possible in order to improve your life. You just have to do something.
And shameless plug here, but getting moving also means coming in and getting treated. It doesn't have to be physical activity. It can be coming in and just giving your body some TLC. You could have pain, you might not. Even if you don't, it's a great way to maintain health. And what better than by people who actually know what they're talking about and know what we're looking for, and can give you like the tips and tricks to stay out of pain or get out of pain actively.
I think you ask yourself the question, do you have a pain or mobility issue right now that's preventing you from doing the things that you want to do? If the answer is yes, come in, right? If it's, I don't know where to get started and I have some old lingering issues and I haven't really been exercising a while and I don't know really how to get started, great, perfect, come in. That's where we do movement assessment. That's where we take a look at what your biomechanics look like. That's where we can help you come up with a game plan on how you can start moving more and moving forward in a way that's going to keep you injury free.
Yeah.
And if you're a person that's dealing with that chronic injury that pops up every now and again, and you're kind of scared because you're worried, like, oh no, if I go do this thing, I might get hurt again. Again, come in. We can get to the root of that. And whether you're symptomatic or asymptomatic on an injury that flares up periodically, like you're scared, I don't want to start running again because my sciatica is going to come back or whatever. That's where we can figure out what's going on
100%.
and clear that stuff out so you can get back into the movements that you want to do, the activities you want to do in a way that feels really great, allows you to push yourself, open up, feel awesome.
And like, to make it come full circle here, when you're asking yourself if you do have pain, some other preliminary things to ask are, am I hydrated? Am I eating well? And am I moving? Those three for sure. If you say yes to all of those and you still have pain, come in. If you say no to any of those, try that first before you come in. Unless you're in like active pain, then come in regardless. But just think of those three things. I think that'll help solidify in your brain that these habits are really important and actually contribute to less inflammation, less pain, less injury. Like, it all plays into each other. So think of that too.
I love it. I love it. In perfect timing. This is great advice any time of the year, but I think, here we are in the middle of summer, and you really want to get the most out of it and enjoy this warm weather that we have and this beautiful weather that we're having here in the Northwest. And these are three great tips in order for you to really maximize and optimize your life. So, Dr. Ash, thanks for being here. I love it. Appreciate you as always.
Thanks, guys.
And until the next time, remember that movement is the best medicine.